So let's quickly summarize what we discussed in the previous session. So we learned different methods, different ways to acquire knowledge, which is also called as sense perception, knowledge acquired through our material senses, eyes, nose, ears, tongue, touch. And then Anuman Praman, knowledge acquired through experimentation, making judgment, opinions. And we learned that both of these methods are not perfect. So any knowledge we generate or acquire through these senses will be imperfect because our senses have 4 defects by design, okay, which we learned in the previous session. So if you want to understand about God, his creation, the purpose of his creation, we need a method which is 100% foolproof, 100% perfect, with no possibility of any error, even iota of error, no error at all. And both Pratyaksh and Anuman Praman, they both fail miserably on that parameter. So the only reliable source of knowledge, source of perfect information is Shabda Praman. Shabda Praman means, it is also called as Shruti Praman, which means knowledge which is acquired through hearing from an authorized source. And Krishna talks about it in Bhagavad Gita that this knowledge is received through parampara. Evam parampara praptam imam raj rishiyo vidu. It means this knowledge comes in disciplic succession. Means from one guru to another guru to third guru, third to fourth, fourth to fifth, like this. This is called disciplic succession or parampara. Okay. Through hearing. Like this, you can see in the picture, a disciplic succession which starts from Krishna to Brahma at the time of creation, Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasdev. Like this knowledge is coming down, passing through parampara, like a relay race. You see relay race, how do you pass on the baton? So this knowledge is being passed from one to another. This knowledge remains intact when it is passed as it is, without any dilution, without adding anything, without deleting anything. This knowledge remains perfect and complete. Right? And this is called parampara or disciplic succession. So knowledge received through this bona fide pramanic parampara is always perfect. Why? It is coming from a perfect source. जैसे हमारी इंद्रियों में 4 दोष हैं, वैसा भगवान की इंद्रियों में दोष नहीं, दोष रहित है. He is free of any faults. Like we have imperfect senses, right? Krishna doesn't have imperfect senses. We have propensity to get illusion, we get bewildered, we get confused. Supreme Lord doesn't have this tendency to get confused like us, or bewildered, or illusioned. Like we have cheating propensity, he doesn't have. So similarly, like this, the 4 defects which we have, a normal human being has, the Supreme Lord doesn't have. So the source of knowledge is perfect, and hence the knowledge received is also perfect. This we discussed in detail. Now, in Kali Yuga, people normally do not have, enough memory power. They can't remember anything they hear, which was the case earlier. Earlier, even in Dwapar Yuga, if somebody has heard something, he can remember it. For example, Sutta Goswami was sitting in assembly. He heard 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam and he remembered all of them. He did not forget. But we forget everything immediately after 5 minutes, isn't it? If I ask you, what did you do at the same time yesterday? You will not remember. Forget about that. We can't even remember our mobile number. That is the situation today, right? So, sages like Vyasadeva knew this is the condition of people of Kali Yuga, and hence he decided to write it down for all of us. So important scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam appeared just before the beginning of Kali Yuga. So it is meant for people of Kali Yuga. Okay. Otherwise, we will not retain this knowledge if it is not written on a piece of paper. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna defines in chapter 8, after attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world. So Krishna is defining the nature of this world. What is this? Temporary. This material world is temporary. Another characteristics of this material world is which is full of miseries. No one can escape miseries in this material world. No exception. Everyone, irrespective of king or a beggar, male or female, child or old man, everybody has suffered. Nobody can escape because they have attained the highest perfection. So it means there is some reality beyond this material world. If one achieves that, he never comes back to this material world. So this is the verdict in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Okay. So the nature of this material world as defined, before that, so Krishna is defining purpose of this material world, okay, and this material body, which we'll discuss in detail a little later. So there are three words. One is called Golok Vrindavan, or the spiritual world. You can see right at the top, okay, where Krishna stays. Below that, there is another spiritual world called Vaikuntha, where Vishnu and different incarnations stay. Below that is material world, which is temporary. So spiritual world is eternal. There is no beginning, there is no end. But material world is temporary. There is a beginning, there is an end. And hence in this material world, anything has a beginning and an end. You look around in your room, see anything, and give me one example which looks permanent. Nothing is permanent. Why? Due to the influence of time, kala, samay. Okay. And Krishna or Vishnu, they come to this material world in the form of different incarnations. And what is the purpose? We'll discuss maybe after a couple of slides. Okay. So this material world is temporary, asthai, not shashwat, not eternal. So what is the purpose of this material world? As I mentioned in the previous sessions also, this material world is like a prison house. Souls who did not obey the laws of God like somebody who does not obey the law of state. He's isolated in a separate, isolated area where you have similar people who all have violated the laws of, state, laws of country. Similarly, this material world is an isolated place where all those souls who violate the norms, do not agree to follow rules, regulations of the spiritual world, they're isolated. Like any prisoner is given a uniform, right, for his identity. In this material world, soul is given this material body. It is like a uniform. Okay. So we are actually engaged inside this body. Okay. So spiritual world is called Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha means what? Where there is no kuntha. Kuntha means misery. So spiritual world is free of any misery, and material world is full of miseries. This is the difference. Okay, so Krishna is inviting all of us to get out of this miserable place. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna defines the process to follow, how to get out. That's why Bhagavad Gita is the most important scripture for all of us. We cannot solve these problems through our mechanical, material means. Not possible. We've been trying for ages. We've never been able to. We've never been successful. We'll never be successful in the future also. The only way is to take shelter of these wonderful scriptures and then find out the root cause of these problems and then remove the problem from the root. Through scientific measures, we can only do patch up. Like, as I mentioned, if my hair are gray, at the base I can dye. I can put black color and try to look young. Nothing beyond that, isn't it? So we don't want patch-up solutions. We want solutions which are foolproof and can eradicate the problem from the root completely. And that is the purpose of the seminar. So material world is defined as Dukkhalayam or Shashvatam in 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. As the name indicate, right? Dukkhalay, like, in Bhojanalay, one is served with variety of food. In Pustakalay, one is served with variety of books. In Anathalay is a place where you have orphans. Similarly, Dukkhalaya means where you are served with variety of miseries. Some related with body, some related with mind, some related with Prakriti, material nature, some related with our relatives, other living entities, variety of three tapa we discussed previously. And ashashvatam means temporary. The nature of the material world is temporary, not permanent. Why it is Dukkhalayam? Let's try to understand. Every material thing is changeable and perishable. They cannot give lasting happiness. It is the nature of soul to look for happiness. That is the nature. Anandamayo bhyasat satchit anand. But the sources or the material sources from where it is trying to derive eternal happiness cannot give eternal happiness because they themselves are temporary. Every material sense object you look around in your house is temporary. So there is no possibility of eternal permanent happiness in these sources. That's why we get frustrated after some time. Anything. That is the nature of anything and everything in the material. Second is, all material pleasures are dual in nature. What does it mean? In Hindi is called dvanda. कहते हैं ये जगत द्वंद्वों का जगत है. क्या अर्थ है इसका? If you aspire for gain, you have to necessarily also encounter loss. Dual. If you aspire for happiness, you have to necessarily encounter sorrow, misery. Dual, the other side of happiness. If you aspire for respect, you have to necessarily face insult also in this material world. If there is a cold season, there is a hot season also, the other side of cold season, right? So everything is dual. You look for one, second is bound to follow it after some time. Like, a coin has two sides, dual, heads and tails. You throw coin in the sky, every time it will not throw one side. Sometimes it will be, head, sometimes tails. So in this material world, because the nature of material world is duality or dvandva, one is necessarily made to face both sides of the coin. Happiness and sorrow, profit and loss, man, apman, labh, hani, jay, vijay, both will come. So one cannot expect eternal happiness in this material world, out of question. And the third is, everything in this material world is relative, not absolute. Right? For example, a beautiful rose flower, its beauty is dependent on many things. Quality of gardener, rains, timely arrival of rains, quality of soil, many things. And it will not be able to retain its qualities after some time. Rose, you keep it outside, after one day, gone. You keep one apple, after one day, gone. Right? So these are the qualities, the characteristics of this material world, and hence, this world cannot give you happiness. We may keep searching for ages, cannot give us. We have to necessarily, face kuntha or misery. Then we discuss who is the Supreme Lord, and we refer to many evidences from scriptures in the previous session, confirmed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, and Mother Durga. We refer to many verses which concluded the position of Krishna as Supreme Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a nice verse which talks about incarnations. Avatara hi asankhya. Asankhya means unlimited. The incarnations of Lord Hari or Krishna are innumerable, unlimited. Like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water. Like your waves in a ocean. Can you count waves in the ocean? You can't count waves. Similarly, you have so many incarnations of the Supreme Lord which cannot be counted. Okay. You want to see previous slide? Yeah. Can I move ahead? Okay. Now, I'm going to show a very busy slide, but it's important for you to understand. Okay. This is how Krishna expands, incarnates. Okay. So I'm going to highlight, I don't want to dwell more in detail in this. You're not able to understand fully. Just to give a flavor of different incarnations. Krishna first expands as Balaram. Balaram is an incarnation of Krishna. Then you have further incarnations which are categorized like Leela Avatara, Purusha Avatara, Guna Avatara, Shaktya Avesh Avatara, Manvantara Avatara, Yuga Avatara. Purusha Avatara are basically different Vishnus. Karno Dakshai Vishnu, Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, Chiro Dakshai Vishnu. Purusha Avatara are meant primarily to create and manage this material world. This is the main function of Purusha incarnation, which are different types of Vishnus. Leela Avataras are those incarnations which come to perform different pastimes in the material world, like Lord Ram, Lord Narasimha, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. These are called Leela Avataras, pastimes, who perform different pastimes. Guna avataras are Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Guna means Rajaguna, Tamoguna, Sattva. So three presiding deities to manage this material world through these three gunas. Vishnu for Sattva, Brahma for Rajaguna, and Lord Shiva for Tamoguna. Okay. Then you have Shaktya Avesh Avatara, like Brahma, Narada. You have Manvantara Avatara, then Yuga Avatara. This is not comprehensive list. This is just a reflection of different incarnations. Okay. And somebody asked this question, difference between Vishnu and Krishna. So this example will, give you clarity on this. You can see this very popular actor Amir Khan. He is in police dress and with the family. Okay, so he's playing two roles, same person, right? Very formal role in the office and very intimate personal role at house. Similarly, Krishna in office is Vishnu, playing a very formal role, carrying these different weapon and shank and lotus flower and all that, and having a family life, a very intimate relationship with devotees in his house, which is Golok Vrindavan, and office is Vaikuntha. This is the difference. The mood in which he reciprocates with different devotees is different in Vaikuntha and Golok, while the person is same. Like Amir Khan here as a police inspector, he's dealing with people in his office very different. And he's dealing with different, members in the family very different. Right? So that's how we can easily understand Vishnu and Krishna. And incarnator is Krishna, incarnation is Vishnu, not the other way around. Why we get confused, in terms of incarnations of Vishnu? Why? Because Krishna comes into this material world in different incarnations through the platform of Vishnu. So the platform is Vishnu, but the incarnator is Krishna himself. Okay. Now the purpose of incarnations is also defined in Bhagavatam. Okay, I'll read the English translation only. Thus, the Lord of the universe maintains all planets inhabited by demigods, men, demigods means Devi Devta, men and lower animals. Assuming the roles of incarnations, he performs pastimes to reclaim, very, very important word, to reclaim those in the mode of pure goodness. Souls who are showing improvement. जैसे एक जेल के अंदर एक कैदी थोड़ा इंप्रूवमेंट शो करता है, उसका बिहेवियर अच्छा हो जाता है, उसका डीलिंग आसपास के लोगों के साथ, जेल के अधिकारियों के साथ, and his behavior becomes perfect or better, then one can write application, jailer can write application to president, or while he has been imprisoned for 30 years, but he's showing a lot of improvement, I think he can be released. And president will sign that letter and that person released from prison house. Correct? Similarly, Krishna comes here to reclaim, take these souls back from material world, back into his spiritual world. That's why he comes in different incarnations at different point in time for different target audience. Okay? Making sense? Making sense or no? Just keep saying yes, no through chat. I get confidence that you're able to follow what I'm saying. Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Today's subject matter is science of soul. So today, it might again may get extended. Okay, please pardon for this. I'm trying to save one extra session. Yeah, so it might go beyond 1.5 hours. So mentally be prepared for that. Okay, today is Sunday, so should not be a problem. but I'll try to wrap it up as soon as possible. It will not take much time. Am I matter or am I spirit? Am I material or am I spiritual? What is my real identity? This is the subject of today's discussion. Second, we'll discuss in this living body, what are the 6 changes happen, which do not happen in any other unconscious material object. Then, what are the scientific proofs for existence of anti-material means soul? Contrary to material qualities is the spirit soul. So what are different scientific theories, scientific researches have been done to prove the existence of soul? How does reincarnation happen at human being level? How do we reincarnate? We also get new body, new birth in the next life. What is the process for that? On what basis one gets next body, new body? Which body, what basis? We'll discuss, touch upon that. May not be very elaborate manner, but we'll give some idea. So if soul is eternal, God is also eternal, both are eternal, then what is the difference between God and soul? Soul and super soul. There are many people who claim to be God. Many people, especially in Kali Yuga, if somebody gets some siddhi, some special powers, he tries to influence innocent, population, masses, and pose himself as God. Right? So, but we should know what the difference so that we don't get trapped, in such false propositions. Who is God and who is a living entity? What is the difference between the two? We should be very clear. And then what are the practical benefits of knowledge of soul? Why are we trying to learn? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about it right in the 2nd chapter, right in the beginning. The moment he starts speaking Bhagavad Gita, first subject he touches upon is the soul, difference between matter and spirit. So this is that important, which means, like we go and study as a child, first we are taught A, B, C, D. That is the foundation of our education. Similarly, foundation of spiritual life is correct understanding of our identity. Who am I actually? It is like ABCD of spiritual life. If one does not have understanding of difference between body and soul, he just cannot live or he cannot practice spiritual life. Not possible. So there are many people who claim to be spiritual, who claim to be dharmic, but they have no such understanding. So that, spiritual life is only superficial. It will not lead one to his destination. Okay, so this subject is very, very important if you want to lead a healthy spiritual life and become peaceful. Okay, so who are you or who am I? Let's try to understand. There is a scientist with the name Dr. Harry Monson. He did one study. He's a professor of anatomy. He did one study. What he did, he tried to find out what are the different chemicals we have in this material body. Large part is water, right? But there are different chemicals. It is made of matter, so chemicals will be there. So he calculated there's 5 pounds of calcium in this material body, 1.5 pounds of phosphate, about 9 ounces of potassium, 6 ounces of sulfur and sodium, 1 ounce of magnesium, and then little iron, copper, and iodine. So the material body is made up of these different material elements and quantified. A normal material body will contain how much of which chemical. And then he tried to put a price tag, to these chemicals. Then he concluded material value of this body is 110. If you go and try to sell these chemicals in the market, at best you'll get 110 rupees. What do you think? Is this the worth of our body, our life? 110 rupees? Hmm? But we decorate this body so much, we spend hundreds of rupees to decorate this body. But Dr. Harry is saying the value of this body is only 110 rupees. No, we are not this body. Actually, forces us to think that we are actually not, our bodily worth or my worth cannot be 110 rupees. If a father has his son being operated in a hospital for some disease, he'll say, कि आप मेरा सारा पैसा ले लो, मेरे बच्चे को बचा दो. Whom he is trying to save? Is he trying to save this body worth rupees 110 rupees? He's ready to, throw all his money, all his wealth to save his son. So whom he is trying to save? His body, which is worth, these few chemicals? No. Why? Because he's trying to save somebody else inside the body, not the body. And hence, we need to know what is that our real identity, which is different from this. See, the subject matter is so important, but hardly discussed. Even great scientists, most literate, materially educated class of society, even they do not understand who they are. Isn't it? This is the most important knowledge to be taught to a child right in the beginning. Unfortunately, we have been keeping our generations away from this important knowledge. And till the time one knows who he is, it's very difficult for him to find out what is the purpose of his life. So largely people live a purposeless life. Now, if I don't know who am I, how am I going to work out appropriate purpose for my life? So our different goals in our life, different endeavors in our life are centered around this body, which we are not. So all the career goals, all different goals of life misplaced, not appropriately placed, till the time we understand who we are. What is my real identity? Look at this actress. You have two pictures, one when she was alive and when she's dead. Chemically, both are same. Same phosphate, same calcium, same potassium, same iron, copper, whatever chemicals Dr. Andy talked about, same chemicals. Then what is the difference between the two? Alive and dead. Will somebody, embrace dead body the way he embraced a live body? No. It means whom we embrace is different from the body, not the body. After, soul leaves the body, we stay away from the same body whom we loved for ages. Isn't it? Whose company we wanted to take always. We want to be in the association always. Now we want to stay away. Why? Same body. So it forces us to think that we are different from this body. This dead body has no feelings, cannot think, no desires, no movement, no consciousness. While they look same, on a bodily platform, there's no difference. But they're very different. And what is making different? That element which was inside is no more inside. That is making difference between the two. That makes one lovable, and that other one is not lovable anymore. But the element has left the body. You have to recognize what is more precious in someone we love. Is it the body or the person inside the body, the soul inside the body? Okay. Same body, but the soul is gone. That is the difference between the two. So this is how soul moves from different bodies in the same life and in different lives. On the top, you see soul is moving, leaving the body, again acquiring another body. Below you see different species one takes. It's not necessary that today we are human being, next life also will become human being. No, it is not necessary. One will become dog, one will become hog, one will become ant, or even one will become demigod. One will become Indra, one will become Brahma. Based on, we'll discuss one's desires and one's karmas in this life. So we have to be very clear in terms of how should we perform karma, which have so, serious implications, consequences after we leave this body. Isn't it? And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. So soul never dies at any time. What dies is actually only this body. Soul is eternal. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. When body is destroyed, the soul inside the body cannot even be touched. Forget about destroying it. Bhagavad Gita 2.20 verse. So let's see what are the differences between body and the soul. What is outside and what is inside. Body is matter. Panch Mahabhut, air, fire, these five Panch Mahabhut, all of you know. Bhumi, Rapo, Anal, Vayu, Kham. Okay, no, there is no gender of the soul. Soul is spirit, spiritual, not material. Body is not conscious. The body stops moving after soul leaves the body, but soul is conscious. It is the presence of the soul which makes this body conscious. शरीर चेतन है कि नहीं है, चेतना है कि नहीं है, वो निर्भर करता है कि उसके अंदर आत्मा है कि नहीं. Without the soul, this body has no meaning. Body changes. It is changeable. Soul has no change. It is same all the time. No change at all. So we would have gone through zillions of bodies so far, but no change. Souls are infinite, no number. Then body is temporary and soul is eternal. For body, there is a beginning. Happy birthday to you. And then Das Sanskar. Same body went through Das Sanskar. Is temporary. But soul does not have any beginning, no end. Eternal. It is Shashwat. Permanent. Body is dead always. Even now, this body is dead. It's a dead matter. It is moving only because of the presence of soul. By itself, body is dead. Actually, there is no death. Why? Body is already dead and soul cannot be dead. So what dies when we say mar gaya, iski mrityu ho gayi, he is dead? Nothing dies. It is only that soul moves from one body to another body. It is technically called as transmigration of the soul. आत्मा का स्थानांतरण एक स्थान से दूसरे स्थान पर. Okay. So technically, there is nothing called as death. That's why we don't say "Mar gaya." We say he has left the body. In our Vaishnav language, we don't say "Oh, Mar gaya." We say this person left the body yesterday. He just left, and maybe we'll go to some other different body. When I was in Colombo, one very senior devotee came to our house with his wife, and he asked me a question. He asked me, I was not initiated that time. He said, Munish, how old is your body? And normally we ask this question, how old are you? Isn't it? But he asked perfect question. Because I am not old. Technically, I as a soul cannot become old. Because there is no change in the soul. Only my body is getting older. So he asked me, how old is your body? But generally what we say, how old are you? Because of misidentification. Because we treat this body as a person. Okay. So these are very important differences between body and soul, and awareness of these differences and awareness of our being identity, or our identity as a soul makes a huge difference in our disposition in our life. Huge difference. If I am told I cannot be killed, there's every possibility I'll become fearless. Isn't it? But one has to realize it. Only knowing is not sufficient. One has to realize this aspect that I am not a body but a soul. So the characteristics of soul is called Sat Chit Ananda. जिसको हम कभी कभी सदा क्या बोलते हैं सच्चित आनंद सच्चिदानंद बोलते हैं ना. It actually Sat, Chit and Anand. The three aspects to this. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, Ananda means full of bliss. On the contrary, the characteristics of body are Asat, completely ulta. Asat means temporary, Achit means without any knowledge, dead matter, and Nirananda means source of misery. So soul is a source of bliss, and body by nature, by design, is a source of misery. All anomalies like death, disease, birth, old age happen to body. Why? And cause pain to all of us. That is the nature of body. Okay. So if one is searching for real bliss, happiness, he has to touch upon his soul. He has to center, make, what do you call, center of his life is his soul, not his body. Till that time, Nirananda, life will remain full of miseries. Because we are expecting happiness from something which it doesn't have to give. How can body give happiness? It doesn't have only. That is not the nature of body. Okay. So who am I? Different people, if they're asked who are they will say I am, they'll take their name, I am Ram Kumar, I'm an Indian, I'm an American, or I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I'm Muslim, I'm Hindu, I'm Christian, I am manager, I'm CEO. These are all bodily designations. That is not real identity. Soul is being identified differently based on different bodies the soul is occupying. Okay. And that's how we relate. That's how we live our life. That's how we fight with each other. So these identifications are the root cause of conflicts. If everybody says, I am a soul, 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 there is no question of any conflict. Just because one says, I am Hindu, other says, I am Muslim, other says, I am Christian, conflict arises. Isn't it? So this misidentity or identity crisis is the root cause of all the conflicts in this material world. Because of wrong identification. So when we see mirror and we see a face inside the mirror, we are not that face, we are not that body which is visible in the mirror. That is not our identity, right? You are an Atma or a soul, the real driver of the body. If this body is like a car, right? You can see inside there's a driver, holding the steering. Yeah? He is your Atma. Who is actually driving this car, this body? These are headlamps. Okay. And there's a person standing behind this soul. It is called super soul or Paramatma. Okay. So Atma, Paramatma always are together inside living entity. Okay. So when we know all this stuff, our understanding of this life, purpose of this life, what to do, what not to do, will change significantly for good. Not there's no loss, only gain. One will only gain happiness when one lives on the platform of soul, not body. So materially, what people think, most of the people are in this category. Their viewpoint is, we are bodies made up of matter. Okay. We are no more than a chemical bundle, and everything is finished at the time of death. So for them, beginning of this life is the beginning of this life, and death is the end of this life. So they want to enjoy. Just enjoy this life. Just do it. Because they don't understand the implications of what they do beyond this life. Yeah. Enjoy life is just one. एक ही जीवन मिला है, वो मजे करो. So the modern society is based on this siddhanta, this principle. Just enjoy. There's nothing beyond this life. Why? Because of identity crisis. You don't know who they are. You don't know what will happen after this life. In the eternity of the soul, this lifespan of 60, 70 years, just like a flash. Just think about it. आपने कैमरा यूज किया ना, उसमें से फ्लैश निकलता है. What is the life of flash? Moment. Similarly, in the eternity of life, this life of 60, 70 years is like a flash. But what we do in this life has a huge implication on the rest of many lives to come. So no intelligent person will mishandle these 60, 70 years and screw up many more lives to come. Isn't it? Like a child who is studying in 7th, 8th standard, these days he starts preparing for IITs. Why? He's able to see, if I don't work hard, I have a bigger problem later. The whole life I will suffer. Similarly, one who's intelligent is able to see, if I don't handle this life properly, I'll suffer big time later. But this far-sightedness comes only when he realizes his real identity. Otherwise, no. This life will finish to enjoy. Okay, so our thought process will change significantly with this understanding. And the spiritual viewpoint is, we are not the material body of flesh and bones, we are spirit souls. Encaged in material body. Encaged in material body. We do not die when material body stops to function. Soul, as an individual entity, continues to survive. There is no death, it is eternal. Okay. So we discussed the nature of the soul is Satchit Anand, eternal, full of knowledge and blissful. Okay. So how do you make out one has a soul or not? The symptom of soul is consciousness, Chetana. While this body is dead, but this body is Chetan, moving here and there. Why? Because of the presence of soul inside this body. But many objects we see around us, wristwatch, ball, umbrella, they do not have consciousness, they do not have soul. The presence of soul is characterized by presence of consciousness. Chetana, Hindi mein kehte hain. And where does this soul reside? It resides in the heart of living entity. That's why to our, all near and dear ones, we offer a heart. We don't offer intense time. We don't offer brain. We offer a heart. Why? Because real me stays inside my heart. Maybe we do it unintentionally without knowledge, but it comes naturally. Offering one's heart to the other person. Why? The soul resides inside the heart. Soul and super soul both reside inside the heart. And what is the size of the soul? Very, very small. It is the same size of the soul inside an ant and inside an elephant. Same size soul drives both ant and elephant. And scriptures define the size as, if I take my hair, then I take tip of my hair, I divide the tip into 10,000 parts, that one part is the size of soul. So minute, but very powerful. It can drive elephants, it can drive dinosaurs, it can drive an ant. So what is the advantage of this understanding? You will not see ant as an insignificant creature and kill the ant without any reason. You're very cautious. Killing, but there's a soul inside this ant also. There's super soul inside this ant also. So one naturally becomes non-violent if one is equipped with this understanding that every living entity has a soul and a super soul. Yes, plants also have soul. They're also conscious. Okay. So very small size, but very powerful. The symptom or the characteristic of soul is indestructible. Nainam chindanti shastrani. It means no weapon can kill soul. Nainam dahati pavaka. Fire cannot burn the soul. Na chainam pledayanti apu na shocheti maruta. Water cannot, moist the soul, or air cannot dry the soul. Practically, nothing can harm the soul. This is the quality of indestructible. Nothing can destroy. Even a nuclear bomb cannot destroy one soul. A nuclear bomb which can destroy thousands of bodies but can't even touch one soul. It is individual and eternal. Okay. So all living entities are individual souls. No soul merges with another soul or super soul. They maintain the identity eternally. All souls are eternal, individual, eternally. Okay. There is no question of merging. So soul simply changes bodies. Dehino asmin yatha dehi kaumaram yovanam jara. For example, when we are small child, let's say infant for 5 months, we have a body, small body. When we become 5-year-old, our body is different. The old body is dead already, isn't it? We have acquired new body. Even in this life, we can experience we are changing bodies. Even in this life, we can experience. So when I become youth, my child body is dead. When I become old, my youth body is dead. So soul is passing through different bodies, even in this life. And then Krishna says, similarly, it passes into another body at death. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. So we are changing bodies already. Every 7 years, all the cells inside the body change. Even in this life. So we can experience how soul is changing bodies. So why should we get surprised if it says after death it goes to another body? Very natural. But this understanding does not exist with our science. If you look at the definition of death in our dictionary, what will you find? When bodily limbs stop functioning, that is death. So he talks about something beyond death, beyond this life. So a soul is like an unseen driver of the bodily car. If this body is like a car, without car, without a driver, car cannot move even an inch. Similarly, this body cannot move an inch without presence of the driver or the soul inside this driver. Okay. So just as the bird is trapped in this cage, in the cage, the soul is trapped in the body made up of 5 elements: earth, water, fire. So this is Deha, and the soul which remains inside Deha is called Dehi or Atma. Trapped. Now, because we see this body only, we think that this body is me, and the whole life we are always decorating this body without worrying about the soul inside. Like an old lady, she brought one cage with the bird, but she is so fascinated with the cage that she's only, denting, painting only the cage. Every day she'll change the color of the cage and put some different things, make it look beautiful. But inside, the bird is dying. That is our situation. We don't feed the real me, the soul, but we are only decorating this body. This is called as bodily consciousness, body consciousness. Only thinking about how to give comfort to this body or how to decorate this body. That has become the aim of this life, isn't it? Without worrying about the real me, the soul inside this body. Okay. So you see, gradually this bodily consciousness is increasing. We are becoming more and more modernized. We are becoming more and more body conscious. Yes or no? Do you agree? Quick responses. Are we becoming more bodily conscious? Yes or no? Yes. Age miracle, facelift. So many things have come to make us look young. So the entire focus of today's generation is this body. Material advancement means increase in bodily consciousness, which means identity crisis. And if we don't know who we are, then we'll fall down spiritually, fall down in dharma. So this is the flow. While we feel very happy about all the technological advancement we're making, but we should see what is the consequence of that. We're becoming more and more bodily conscious and going away from reality. Okay. There was one survey done. This also reflects the same thing. This question was asked, how much do you value the following happiness questions? One was emotional, physical, social, occupational, intellectual, environmental, and spiritual. There's no surprise, people rated physical as the most important element for happiness. A lot, 5 out of 5. And spiritual, they rated the least, 2 out of 5. It shows so much of identity crisis. Yes or no? Yeah. So the whole mankind is now working towards how to make this body look nice, make this body become healthy. So instead of being God conscious or soul conscious, we have become body conscious. We just want to look handsome, beautiful. That is the goal of life. How long will it look handsome? How long look beautiful? We have to face this truth someday. Now I'm going to show you the impact of this over 4 ages, from Satyuga to Treta Yuga to Dwapar to Kali Yuga. You see for yourself that while we're making advancement materially, we have been miserably falling down in terms of our spiritual values. Falling down miserably. Okay. So there's a video for 3-4 minutes. If you don't get audio volume, just let me know. Can you see this? Press the bell button icon, this slide. Are you able to see? Yes.
Knowledge is power.
Listen carefully.
Let us first understand the number of years in each Mahayuga and the number of years for each Yuga. A Mahayuga is comprising of 4,320,000 Earth years, of which Satya Yuga comprised of 1,728,000 Earth years, Treta Yuga comprised of 1,296,000, Dwapara Yuga comprised of 864,000 years and Kali Yuga comprised of 432,000 years. So as per calculation, Satya Yuga was 40% of Mahayuga, Treta Yuga was 30%, Dwapara Yuga was 20% and Kali Yuga is only 10%. Going by this theory, the lifespan of the human being also reduced as the yugas passed, and that also affected the average height of the human being. Ancient way of calculating was cubit. A cubit is a unit based on the forearm length from the tip of the middle finger to the bottom of the elbow.
Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga was the era when human beings were in the purest form. People were honest and truthful. There was no religion or caste system. There was no disease or any natural disaster. It is believed that an average human being was alive for 100,000 years. Humans were gigantic, powerfully built, handsome, honest, youthful, vigorous, erudite and virtuous. As the name implies, beings of this age were truthful and free from selfish desires, lust, anger, pride, greed and envy. They lived virtuously and adhered to Dharma. They are believed to have an average height of 21 cubits, which is approximately 31.5 feet. The gateway of India is 26 meters, which is approximately 85 feet. If we compare the height, then the height of a human from that yuga would be 1/3 of the structure.
Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga, which was the age of virtue and wisdom. Wars became frequent. Weather began to change. Oceans and deserts were formed. The average human lifespan was 10,000 years. Beings in this age still retain much of their purity and divine qualities and could enter the subtle worlds to communicate with gods. At the same time, due to the presence of impurities, they lost awareness of their bliss bodies, which subjected beings to suffering and delusion. They are believed to have an average height of 14 cubits, which is approximately 21 feet. Comparing with the gateway of India, the human would have been 1/4.
Dwapara Yuga. Dwapara Yuga was the age in which humans developed both divine and demonic qualities. Deities were more rampant and the Vedas were divided into 4 parts. In Dwapara Yuga, human believed to have lived for 1,000 years. Human became susceptible to emotions, feelings, egoism, delusion, pride and selfishness. Beings were still virtuous, but had their own weaknesses. The average height of human was believed to be 7 cubits, which is approximately 10.5 feet. They were just 1/8 of Gateway of India.
Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga, or the age of gross materialism. People became sinners and lack virtue. Knowledge is lost and scriptures diminished. Human eat forbidden and dirty food and engage in unrestrained sinful sexual practices. Human in this yuga has an average lifespan of 100 years. We can see that in today's world most people are obsessed with their bodies, looks, names and forms, while they are motivated by sexual desires, worldly possessions and sense gratification. People became sinners and lack virtue. Average height in this yuga is 3.5 cubits, which is approximately 5.25 feet. We are just 1/16th of the gateway of India.
Robert Pershing Wadlow, famously known as Giant of Illinois, from United States of America, is the tallest man known. If we compare his height to Gateway of India, he would have been 1/10 of the total height. He was 5.94 cubits or 8.92 feet. If we compare the height of human from different yugas, we see a gradual decline in the average age of human and also the average height of the human.
So you saw, over 4 yugas, how much loss we have suffered in terms of age, in terms of our bodily structure, in terms of our qualities, in terms of our whatever, different aspects. The only reason is our body consciousness kept increasing and dharma kept falling. So from God-centered society in Satyuga, we have become godless society in Kali Yuga. From soul consciousness, we have become body conscious and forgotten who we are. What is the real identity? So identity crisis means bodily consciousness means godless society. Very simple equation. We think we are the bodies, just live for the body, die for the body, nothing beyond it. Okay, so now there are 6 changes this living body goes through. Right, I'll rush through this. The time is limited. So every living body which has soul factor goes through these 6 stages. Takes birth, there's a growth. After it takes birth, it is maintained at for a certain period of time. Then there are byproducts in the form of children. It dwindles and then dies. These 6 changes happen in anything which has consciousness, which has living entity. But the other objects which do not have soul, they simply dwindle. For example, a sofa set cannot produce another sofa set. Why? There is no soul inside. Right? A man and woman can produce. There is consciousness inside. The soul is covered by 2 types of bodies. One is called gross body, earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then the subtle body inside this, which is basically mind, intelligence, and ego. Man, buddhi, ahankar. And inside this is the soul. Okay, so this soul is encaged in 2 types of bodies called subtle body and gross body. Gross body means made up of 5 material elements, and subtle body is subtle, not visible, but it's like a software, not hardware. In a computer, you have hardware which is visible, but it is software which operates. Similarly, in the body, it is hardware which is visible, Annamaya Kosh, and there is a software inside which is in the form of subtle body. So when one dies, what happens? This gross body is destroyed, is dead. This subtle body which is mind, intelligence, ego, carries the soul and goes to another body. Now, because mind, which is the reservoir of all the desires, repository of all the desires, it also goes along with the soul to the next body. Okay. This is how soul transmigrates from one body to another body. Okay. And what is liberation? Moksha, when soul leaves this subtle body also. Then soul is liberated, free of any engagement. This is called liberation or moksha, mukti. Okay. So till the time we have desires, material desires, this subtle body will not leave us. Unless the mind is completely devoid of material desires, it will not leave the soul. It will carry the soul and go to another body and make the soul suffer. Okay. And we discussed the nature of soul is Satchit Anand, eternal, full of knowledge and blissful. Okay. Now, few scientific evidence for existence of an anti-material personality or the soul. One is common sense. Through common sense, we can say we are not this body, we are a soul. When someone in the family dies, usually we say, so and so person has passed away, isn't it? Ram Kumar has passed away. If he has passed away, who is this lying here, this body? It means the person who passed away is different from this body. Common sense. Isn't it? If this was the same person you loved throughout the life, to embrace throughout the life, will you allow this body to be burnt? No. Why? The person I loved, I embraced, actually is gone. He is only a dead body. It's common sense. Mr. This has passed away yesterday. But his body is still there. So it means he is different from this body who has passed away. Simple. Common sense. Okay. So the soul passes away. Body remains. Clear? Second, it has consciousness. For example, there's a camera. Our camera also has eyes, right? Camera can see outside, everything. Like eyes can see. But what is the difference? Camera can see only red light. For example, if the early morning sight, camera will see only light. But a old couple walking through the same jungle, they're able to remember the old times when they walk through the same jungle. They have emotion, they can think, they can feel, But that is not the case with the camera. Why? Camera does not have consciousness, living entities have consciousness. The presence of consciousness means presence of a soul inside the body. Third is near-death experience and out-of-body experience. They're called NDE and OBE. Many researches have happened on this subject and proved favorably that somebody who is near death actually have experienced the presence of this material, anti-material body called soul. For example, there was operation theater, there was operation happening of a patient. The soul came outside and witnessed everything what was being done with the body. When he was operated, soul went inside and later, recollected everything the soul witnessed from outside. This is called out-of-body experience. So there are many, many studies that have been done to, prove that there's a soul inside the body. Okay, and there are so many literature available on the net in case you're interested to find out what are the different experiences documented, scientifically, which prove the presence of soul inside the body. Right? This is doctor talks about reincarnation. Jan, Stevenson. He has done study of 2000 cases to prove there is a reincarnation, rebirth, around 2000 cases. And again documented in different researches, different books available on reincarnation. So scientific evidences, so not spend much time, just to make a point that even science has started believing in existence. Phobias come from past life. Like sometimes people have phobia of water, of fire. Why? It comes from previous life. If somebody died drowning in the water, he'll have phobia of water in the next life. There are people who can't just enter swimming pool. They're so scared. They had an unpleasant experience previous life with water. Okay. Similarly, twins, similar body, but the qualities of two brothers are very different. Why? The souls are different in both the bodies. Two different souls reincarnated into different bodies that are genetically identical. Okay. Again, some remarks of famous scientists. John Adams says, those souls, listen carefully, those souls who revolted against God were placed here to transmigrate through various species of animals, birds, reptiles, etc. Only one who has studied Gita can use terms like transmigration. In general, people don't understand what is transmigration. Okay. So he's basically emphasizing on, reincarnation is a reality. This is live case study of India. One lady called as Shukla Gupta, one child in fact, who remembered her past life, who remembered and took her in-laws to a place somewhere far away, to her old in-laws place. Where she was married, she had husband, she had mother-in-law, father-in-law, many other people in the family. She took, small child, she took her parents to that place and said, he was my husband, she was my mother-in-law, he was my father-in-law. And she even gave some, confidential information about her husband, which nobody knew about. Okay, so this is a case study documented again. You'll find net also. She recognized previous lifetime house, she recognized mother-in-law, brother-in-law, husband, daughter, indicated who is her husband, what was nickname, and all that. All information which normally family members know, not outsiders. She shared that information. Okay. Now, what exactly happens at death? Soul leaves the gross body behind and is taken to another womb based on the qualities of desires stored in the subtle body at the time of death. So when we are leaving the body, whatever consciousness we have, whatever quality of desires we have, based on that, we get next body. So whatever we've done throughout our life decides what we will think, what is our consciousness in time of death, that defines what is the next body we will get. Okay, we'll see some examples. As a person puts on new dress, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. Vam chanti jirnani yata vihai. This is from Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so on what basis the soul awarded next body? In Bhagavad Gita 8.6, Krishna talks about whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. Okay. So whatever our mind is occupied with while leaving the body, which is a function of how we have lived our life throughout, right, decides what kind of body one will get next time. Okay, just to illustrate what happens. So, two factors decide the next body. One, the desires we have in our mind, and good or bad karmas we have performed in this life. Okay. So, if it has to suffer because of misdeeds, it will first go to hell, suffer, and then get next body. Okay. with material desires and good or bad karma. Desires are occupied or are available present in the mind, which goes along with the soul. And good bad karma, Krishna has a record of everyone who is doing what. We can hide our deeds from local laws, local state, police, but we cannot hide anything from the cosmic authorities. So when one ignores the laws of God and engages in sinful activities, which is impure mind and senses, then it glides down. So one may even get demoted to lower species out of 8.4 million based on one's deeds. If my habits are like animals, for example, then Krishna will award me a body in which I can exercise these propensities in abundance. Okay. For example, this man is habituated of eating non-vegetarian, mass, meat. Okay. So he is cultivating desires of relishing on, what do you call, flesh as a food. There's every likelihood he'll get a body in which he survives only on flesh, like a lion or tiger, to fulfill those desires which he's cultivating in this life. So what our desires are have a huge implication on my next body. So we should cultivate good, favorable desires, not unfavorable desires. For example, if somebody is fond of sleeping, then you can understand what kind of body you'll get. You can sleep for many, many days altogether. If somebody, for example, somebody exposes in terms of bodily limbs, then one may get body of a tree. No need to wear anything, completely exposed for many, many years put together. So the human form is a life of responsibility. Why? Because human being is awarded with higher developed intelligence, rational power to discriminate between what is right, what is wrong, what is sinful, what is not sinful, which is not the case with animals. So this human body is a privilege, at the same time it brings a lot of responsibility to lead a very responsible life. One can fully utilize its human form and serve the purpose of life, or one can completely misuse it and screw up even lives to come, in addition to this life. So living our life responsibly is very, very important, based on our scriptures, not whimsically. But if one engages in sinful activities, 4 activities are considered sinful primarily. Meat eating is considered extremely sinful, right? Intoxication is considered sinful. And why sinful? That also I'll touch upon, right? Gambling is considered sinful. And illicit relationship, illicit sex with opposite, is considered sinful. Why they're considered sinful? They are called 4 pillars of sinful life. And we see these 4 pillars of sinful life are perpetually increasing in our modern era. Yes or no? Meat eating is increasing, intoxication consumption is increasing, gambling propensity is increasing, and illicit relationships are increasing. Yes or no? Yeah. So how can we expect dharma to survive in such sinful society? Not possible. Yes, we're becoming more and more godless society. Now, why these 4 sinful acts are important to avoid? Because they destroy 4 principles of dharma. These 4 activities destroy 4 principles of dharma. 1, meat eating destroys one important pillar of dharma, which is called mercy, karuna, mercy for other living entities, having compassion for other living entities. to live a life of brotherhood. If one becomes violent against any animal, he develops the propensity to become violent against all the species of life. So he cannot be merciful. If he doesn't mind eating a flesh of an animal, he can do anything. He can cause any kind of violence. Okay, so it destroys mercy, compassion in a living entity. Second, intoxication destroy austerity aspects. Any religious activity or spiritual activity requires some level of austerity. Austerity means, for our purification, accepting something which may be, not very convenient to us, but still we perform. For example, we are told we should get up early in the morning, correct? The best time for Sattva-guna. But not everybody finds convenient to get up early in the morning. So getting up early is an austerity. But one who is involved in intoxication and all that, he cannot perform such austerities. So for him, spiritual life is next to, difficult, very difficult. So bolo aaj ekadashi ka fast rakhna. Because such people, they have very less tolerance power. थोड़ी खुशी मिलेगी तो बांट ली, थोड़ा दुख मिलेगा तो बांट ली. Immediately, open beer, open liquor, immediately. They can't tolerate. Austerity requires tolerance. So this intolerance or lack of tolerance makes them less conducive to spiritual process. And gambling destroys truthfulness. One has to speak lies, in such cases. Satyata. This Mother Earth is burdened because of people who speak lies. This scriptures say this. And when Mother Earth is burdened with such sinful people, it doesn't give what we need. Then we'll have scarcity of this, scarcity of that, so many problems. So gambling process destroys satyata, truthfulness, and illicit relationship destroys swachhata of cleanliness. Cleanliness of mind, cleanliness of body. So these four are the pillars of dharma, which with the rise in such propensities of meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit relationship, destroy four pillars of dharma. In Kali Yuga, they are being royally destroyed, so dharma is being royally destroyed. We never heard of slaughterhouses earlier. Even 20, 30 years back, there was no slaughterhouse. Now we are giving license for slaughterhouses. Isn't it? Indiscriminately we're killing animals. Okay. How can the society live peacefully, which has no compassion for other living entities, which have similar soul, similar super soul inside them? Yeah. So if we lead responsible lives following religious, so we need a life which is based on religious, spiritual principles to protect us from committing such sinful activities. We will just talk about law of karma. One can eat meat and relish for 5 minutes, but he has to suffer one lifetime. One meal of non-vegetarian is equivalent to one lifetime of suffering. So these regulatory principles are actually to save us from such consequences later on. So spiritual life, religious life is to protect us from committing sins and suffer later on. So spiritual life is not a choice whether we want to accept it or we don't want. It is necessity. Just to remain peaceful and safe, it is required and avoid dire consequences in future. So I mentioned, one should discriminate in terms of what one should eat, one should not eat, what one should do, what one should not do. Then, we get so many things from this nature. We should also have the propensity to give back something to this nature, to the God. Bhagavad Gita talks about yajna to be performed to please somebody who is giving us everything. If you don't even recognize the presence of God, where is the question of giving back? We're only taking, and taking. then we should cultivate knowledge. We should read these scriptures and know what is God expecting us to do. If we don't even know, that how are we going to execute these, activities? So one has to be first aware. अब किसी को ट्रैफिक के नियमों का पता नहीं है, वो फॉलो कैसे करेगा? है कि नहीं? But ignorance is not an excuse. If he doesn't know, he passes traffic light, he'll be punished. हमको पता नहीं है, we cannot give an excuse. I didn't know about this. So scriptures are available to read and become familiar with what are the laws of nature, laws of God, and avoid things which are prohibited. So we should read such scriptures and become familiar with such laws. And we should associate with such people who have cultivated such desires already. Sangat sanjayate kama, which means our association decides what kind of desires we cultivate. Let me repeat. Our association decides what kind of desires we cultivate. If I am in the company of a smoker, after a few days, definitely I'll be carrying a cigarette in my hand. If I am in the association of drunkards, after a few days, most probably I'll be carrying a glass of beer or whiskey. Isn't it? But if you're in an association of devotees, saintly people, you will have similar desires, whatever they're doing. So we have to be very mindful of our association we keep with such kind of people we associate, we sit with them, we talk to them, and we develop similar desires. So association has to be thought through. Okay, so we have to recognize that finally God does exist. He is controlling everything. He is giving us everything. We have to accept this fact at heart. Yes, we are not in a society which is being run automatically. No, there's a controller, there's a designer, there's a creator who is making everything available to us. Every limb of this body is being controlled. You know this? Every limb. We can't lift eyelids without permission of somebody. We can't walk one step without the permission of somebody. Every action of our body is being controlled. So we cannot deny the existence of God. And we should recognize what is our position. Our position is not of being master. Our position is to serve the master, serve the Lord. Isn't it? मुझे याद है, my father was serving government when I was small. And उस समय बोलते थे ये सरकारी नौकरी करता है, सरकार का नौकर है ना? And we used to feel very proud he is working at the government. सरकारी नौकर है. तो इस सरकार का नौकर बनने में हमको कितना क्या बोलते हैं उसको, we feel so proud. बड़ी सरकार का नौकर बनने में क्या हर्ज है? You want to serve this local country government, state government. What is the problem with serving the supreme government and become his servant? No problem, no. That is our position. Isn't it? So we should recognize the position of the Lord and what is my tiny position in this material world. Okay. And the practical benefits of such knowledge. When we acquire such knowledge, good qualities manifest automatically. One will stop sinful activities. One will start behaving properly with all the living entities. So such qualities will manifest automatically. So we cannot bring revolution in society simply by, teaching them many other non-spiritual stuff and expect them to become gentlemen or civilized human beings. Never happen. Unless you imbibe this knowledge, unless they learn their position as a soul, unless they know that other living entity also is a part and parcel of the Lord, the compassion will not come, that respect will not come. And when one realizes he is a soul, deathless, eternal, he is free from all lamentation, fear, and illusion. Universal brotherhood. You don't see the body, you see the soul inside the body. So the spiritual vision brings people together And material vision, makes people move apart. Positive outlook and attitude life, right? Many advantages. Spend much time on this. For example, if you go to ISKCON, you will find people from all the countries. Black, white, German, Jew. They are otherwise big enemies, materially from body perspective. But they don't exhibit such behaviors. Why? They don't see the body, they see the person inside, the soul inside. So what divides us? White versus black, Indian versus Pakistani, Hindu versus Muslim, rich versus poor, educated, illiterate, beautiful, ugly. Only bodily consciousness is the root cause of all the society problems. The moment you turn into soul consciousness, God consciousness, all these problems will disappear. So this is the only solution to all the problems. One point solution. Just make them aware of their real identity. That's it. Their vision will change looking at other people. They don't look at, oh, ye Muslim hai, ye Hindu hai, ye Pakistani, ye Bangladesh. No, they're all children of Lord. We're wearing different clothes, different bodies. Okay. Next is, if soul is eternal, God is eternal, then what is the difference? Then I can also be God. What is the problem if I say God Madan Govind Das? I am also eternal like God. I am also Satchit Anand. Body, soul is also Satchit Anand. God is, what is the difference then? Let's try to understand the difference between soul and super soul. Super soul means God. Okay. Soul, they are called Jivatmas, and God or super soul is called Paramatma. Jivatma, Paratma. Infinitesimal, small. Soul is tiny, small, and super soul is infinite. Vibhu, Anu and Vibhu. Third, a soul is cognizant of only one's body. For example, I know only what is happening inside my body. That's it. I cannot tell you what are you feeling, what is in your mind, what is happening in your stomach. I can't tell you because I am cognizant of what is happening only inside my body. This is the position of a soul. But super soul knows what is happening in everybody's body. Why? He is present in everybody's body as Paramatma. So he is cognizant of everything. So we are conscious, he is supremely conscious. This is the difference. And our position is like a loving servant, and his position is like a loving master. This relationship between soul and super soul, we should recognize. If we try to become master based on bodily consciousness, then miseries are awaiting for us. Okay. So in quality, we are one with God, but we are different in terms of quantity. So qualitatively, we are same as God. Quantitatively, we are very different. It's like a drop of water and ocean. Yeah, gold ring which I wear and gold mine. Huge difference, no comparison. So soul can never become super soul. We can never become God. Okay, and there are some institutions which propagate this teaching of everybody being Narayan. It is wrong. It is not right, not possible. Vibhu means infinite. Anu means small, Vibhu means big. Okay. Unlimited. So we are not gods, but we are gods, apostrophe S. This is the difference. हम भगवान नहीं, हम भगवान के हैं. Okay? तो अंतर हमको मालूम होना चाहिए. I am a tiny jiva, not the ultimate God, but a tiny part and parcel servant of the Lord. That is our natural position. Homaji, you're listening, no? You ask this question, what is my natural position? My natural position is a loving servitor of the Lord. If you remain in that position, means fish is in water. If you get out of this position, means fish has gone out of water. So one can be very peaceful, one can be very happy all the time, as long as we stay ourselves in this position of serving Lord. This is a natural, most natural position. Okay. Like water for fish, service to God is to living entity. There's a nice verse in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter. It says, Nastir buddhir ayuktasya. If a soul is not united with the super soul, his mind can never be peaceful. Ashantasya kutasukam. If mind is not peaceful, one cannot have any joy, irrespective of materially how opulent he is. So peace of mind can only come when soul connects with the whole or the super soul. Otherwise, no possibility. That is our natural position, like water for fish. Living Lord's company, forced to be born in pain, in the world filled with agony again and again. Okay. So we should not leave the company of the God. Like a child should not leave the company of his father. One should not leave the company of God, the Supreme Father. Krishna is my Lord, the source of all existence. His form is imperishable, full of six opulences. And he comes on his own will in terms of different incarnations to reclaim the souls from this material world. I am only Brahman, Krishna is Para Brahman. So I am also spirit. He is also spirit, but his Para means he is supreme. My position is very tiny. My power is limited. His position, his potential is unlimited. Okay. I can make a swimming pool, but God can create oceans. Any comparison? Swimming pool and ocean? I can create one rocket, but Lord can make so many huge, planets around us. So there is no comparison between living entity and God. I can make a small, tiny bulb. He can make sun, moon. Any comparison? No comparison. So his position is far, far higher than what our position is. He is omnipresent, present everywhere, omnipotent, full of potencies, and omniscient. He knows everything. We don't know. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, do you know? I gave this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita first to sun god. Arjuna was perplexed. How can you give? You were born at the same time almost. Right? When did you give this knowledge to sun god? That to millions of years back. Then Krishna told him, Baba, you are a tiny soul. You can't remember anything, but I remember everything. He's omniscient. He knows everything. He knows what you are thinking right now. What is going in your mind, he knows exactly. But we don't know. We don't know what is going in my mind. I don't know what is going in your mind. But he's omniscient. He knows everything. So our position is like this, drowning in this material ocean. And waiting for somebody to come and save. Okay, now one exercise for all of you. You see two variety of ripples inside a pond. Tell me what differences you see. Quickly. Overlapping of waves. Okay. What else? Systematic and random. Okay, very good. Ripples, one center, many. Very good. Color. Okay. Concentration and distraction. Okay. Ripples from one point is first and many points second. Okay. Suppose there are 10 people standing on the bank of, a pond, and everybody is throwing a stone inside the pond. And every time you throw a stone, it creates a ripple. Is it? Suppose everybody is throwing stone at the same point. What will happen? You will have a scenario like first picture, very harmonized ripples with same center, common center, isn't it? And this also looks beautiful, looks harmonized, looks very peaceful. But if 10 people throw stones at 10 different locations, what will happen? 10 different locations means 10 different ripples. And every ripple will conflict with other ripple. Why? Because there are different centers. So this is the difference between a God-centered society and a self-centered society. This is the difference between a God-centered, everybody's center is one. But now in modern era, everybody thinks I am the, everything. Very self-centered. Selfie means self-centered society. This is a selfie society. One wants to capture only himself. So if everybody becomes God conscious, then no conflicts. All conflicts will vanish. The center point is same. If everybody is thinking about himself, self-centered, then we have a chaotic, miserable, painful society. God-centered society and self-society. Very easy to spot the difference between the two types of societies. Now, which is the society today we have? God-centered or self-centered? Very easy question. It is self-centered society. Currently, we are already self-centered, only thinking about himself. There's so much of competition everywhere, isn't it? Okay, so that ends Who Am I? The second session is quickly, why do bad things happen to good people? It's already 1 o'clock. So with your permission, if you allow me, I'll go ahead. Otherwise, I'll put it for next week. But it's already almost 2 hours. So I need your permission. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So let's quickly run through law of karma. Why do bad things happen? My request, I have a couple of important things towards the end. So my request to everyone is don't leave the session in between. Please stay along till the end. I have an important announcement and important question exercise. So please stay till end. Okay, I'll try to finish as soon as possible. Why do bad things happen to good people? This is a very common question. Laws of karma. Like, if you're driving on the road, you need to know the laws of traffic, correct? If you're traveling by a train, you should know what are the laws of train. You should not enter. If you're carrying a third class compartment ticket, you should not enter into first class compartment. You should know, otherwise you'll be reprimanded, you'll be penalized, you'll be punished. Similarly, every moment we are performing karma without awareness of the laws. How ridiculous this is. I'll try as soon as possible, maybe 20-25 minutes. Yeah. See, we are performing karma every moment, but without being aware of what are the consequences, what are the implications. So ridiculous this is. Can you drive on the road, on Bombay Road, without knowing the norms? No. But we are driving our bodily car without having any understanding of what are the implications of every action. Isn't it? We see somebody having a heart attack. We wonder what happened. He was okay till yesterday. एकदम से क्या हो गया? कल था, आज नहीं है. So what happened to him? We see, handicapped people around us. We wonder why. भगवान बड़े निर्दयी हैं. उसको ऐसा शरीर दिया, अपंग बना दिया उसको. But we don't think beyond. For every effect, there's a cause and effect. But we don't try to find out the cause. We only speculate about the effect. So like this, there's so much of diversity around us, but we don't question at all. Such a dull mind. We see somebody is as rich as Ambani, somebody is a beggar on the road. But why? What is so special with Mr. Ambani that he got birth in Ambani family? And what is the problem with this beggar who got birth in a poor Dharavi family? Nobody asked this question. Why one is born like a bird, why one is dog, one a tree? So much of diversity we see, but we never question why. This is animal propensity. Animals do not question all of this. But human being has been given intelligence to question, contemplate. Why? So the root cause of so much diversity is law of karma. As simple as that. As you reap, so shall you reap. जैसा बोगे वैसा खाओ उगाओ मिलेगा. So it's a very important. So as we mentioned, one gets next body based on the kind of karma one has performed, deeds one has performed, along with the desires he has cultivated in the previous life. Okay. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about 5 subject matters. First one is called Ishvara, or Ishvara means controller, God. Second is called Jiva, or controlled living entity, all of us. Third is Prakriti, material nature, which we see around us. Fourth is Kala, time, which makes everything temporary in this material world. And fifth is Karma, or the activity, impetus to do something. Everybody is involved in some of the other activities. Now this Prakriti or material nature, this material world, is, according to Bhagavatam, 1/4 of the total creation. Material world, spiritual world, put together, 1/4 is material. So 3/4 population or the creation is beyond the realm of this material world, which is called spiritual world. So almost 3 times than this. Right. This Prakriti or this material nature is compared to a prison house. We discussed earlier. This material world is like a prison house, a facility given to the rebellious souls an opportunity to reform. Like prison house, an opportunity for a criminal to reform. Similarly, this material world is an opportunity for a rebellious soul to reform, to improve. Okay. And why one takes birth in this material world? O conqueror of foe, all living entities are born into delusion, bewildered by duality arising from desire and hate. Material desires is the root cause of one getting birth in this material world. Because you need a body to fulfill the desires, so one gets body, material body to fulfill the desires. Okay. So this is the impetus to perform karma. Why one perform karma? To fulfill desires. If there are no desires, why will somebody work? Isn't it? So one has many unfulfilled desires, which is the impetus to perform karma, perform various activities. Okay. So this Prakriti provides body to the soul out of 8.4 billion species, based on one's desire and one's karma. If one's desires and karmas are conducive to dog's body, he'll get dog's body. If one is completely has made himself rid of all material desires, then no material body, then spiritual body, finished. Then prison house term is over. So material body is a function of material desire. If no material desire, no material body. As simple as that. Okay. And this material nature binds this soul or controls the soul through 3 gunas, sattva guna, raja guna and tama guna. आपने सबने सुना होगा इसके बारे में. And so the controlling instrument is three gunas. English में बोलते हैं three modes of material nature, which are tamoguna, rajoguna. This is how we are controlled, like a puppet. So all of us have different proportions of tamoguna, rajoguna, satoguna, based on which we dance. So these gunas make us dance, make us perform karma. If I have a prominent tamoguna, I'll be always sleepy, lazy, mode of ignorance. If I am a rajoguna, I have a very ambitious target. I'm working hard like it, as to fulfill those career goals. A lot of action in the life, a lot of anxiety in the life is a mode of rajoguna. One is peaceful, content with what he has, satisfied, is a reflection of prominence of mode of satoguna. So we see all such behaviors around us. So these people have different behaviors, different swabhava, different nature because of different combination of these three. For example, there are three primary colors, right? If you mix those primary colors in different combinations, you get variety of colors. Similarly, if you mix these three gunas in different combinations, permutation combinations, you get different types of nature, different swabhavas around us. So if one is acting in a specific manner, means he is being controlled by a specific guna. So you want to change somebody's behavior, you have to change this wiring of gunas. Otherwise, you can't change somebody's behavior. That's why there's always a tussle between husband and wife, because they're always trying to change each other. Husband has some expectation, wife says, they forget that they are wired differently. The gunas are different. इसलिए पहले कुंडली देख के शादी करते थे, क्यों? उनके गुणों को मिलाते थे, भाई ये साथ में कंपैटिबल हैं कि नहीं है, लेकिन कैन दे लिव टुगेदर और नॉट? आजकल तो लव एट फर्स्ट साइट, दे डोंट मैच कुंडली एंड ऑल दैट. So compatibility in terms of gunas is checked before marriage. So what are the characteristics? Sattva means knowledge, free from sinful activities, conditioned by the sense of happiness. Rajoguna means unlimited desires and very passionate, very action-oriented, and very strong attraction with the opposite sex. This is Rajoguna. Tamoguna is madness, laziness, sleep, intoxication. Tamoguna people. Okay. So everybody has different combinations of three gunas. And we are conditioned by these three gunas and controlled by them. Okay. So I'm not giving much detail on this subject. There's a full chapter in Bhagavad Gita around this subject. And then Krishna says, which is the biggest enemy of every living entity? It is lust or desire. Is the biggest enemy, which is born out of mode of passion and is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Why? Because this material world is sitting on desire. If there is no desire, there is no material body. There is no desire, there is no material body. Okay. So the purpose of spiritual life is to purify such desires. So spiritual life is not a choice, it is a necessity. Why? One has to purify such desires from material desires to spiritual desires. So different activities we perform in spiritual life is to purify such desires. That is a larger objective. And then after Prakriti, we said Kal, time. What is time? It is also Krishna's one of the energies. Krishna says, Kalo Asmi. He says, I am time in Bhagavad Gita. The most powerful force in the material world and the ultimate among killers. So time kills everyone. Isn't it? You throw a nuclear bomb, some may be killed, some may not be killed, but time will kill everyone without exception. Is the root cause of all transformation in Prakriti. This Prakriti goes through different transformations because of the impact of time. Now, after death, The soul either goes to Vaikuntha or to the hellish planets. But death looks alike for both. A devotee, non-devotee, both die the same death, but the destination is different. It's like, a cat carrying a rat in her mouth, or a cat carrying her dear little kitten in her mouth. They look alike. Both are in the mouth of rat, but one is feeling fearful, one is feeling fearless, isn't it? So a sinful soul, when leaving body, feels like a rat, very fearful. But a noble soul feels like a kitten at the same time of death. By definition, different. Yeah, if one has been committing sinful activities, destination hellish planets, and one has been committing or performing, executing spiritual life diligently, sincerely, and the doors of Vaikuntha open for him, where there are no miseries. So what is karma? Karma means activities performed by living entities conditioned by three modes under the control and purview of time. This is called karma. So every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. ऐसा नहीं हम push कर दें उसका कोई हमको implication नहीं है उसका reaction. Every karma has some reaction. We cannot escape. We are accountable for everything we think, we speak, and we do. We are accountable for everything we think, we speak, and do. Therefore, we must be aware of the consequences of the activities we perform. And this karma, law of karma, is applicable to only human life, not to animals. Human life, human species is called karma yoni, animal species is called bhoga yoni. They only suffer based on what karmas they perform when they were human beings. Okay. So there are different types of karma we discuss. Good karma, bad karma, and all that. Very important, ignorance of law is no excuse to escape reaction. If one says, I have never studied law of karma, so that is your problem if you not studied. There are books available to give you knowledge about this. Better you read these laws and act accordingly. There are books available on traffic laws. You read and follow when you're driving on the road. So if you're living in this material world in the supreme state, we should know what are the laws. It is my duty to find out what are the laws. Isn't it? If somebody is carrying a passenger class ticket and he enters first class compartment and says, I was not aware, he'll be punished. Still he'll be punished. You touch fire and say, oh, I'm a child, why are you burning me? No, fire does not distinguish child or adult. Isn't it? So law of karma doesn't distinguish. One is innocent of this, if not aware. So one has to be aware. Find out ways how to become familiar with these laws. Good and bad karma do not cancel each other. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने कोई दान कर दिया, then I have a right to perform some sinful activities. No, both you will have to face different reactions. For good karma, some good reaction. For bad karma, some bad reaction. They do not neutralize each other. And good and bad karma both are binding. अभी आपको समझ नहीं आएगा, ये बात समझाएंगे later. Even good karma also binds one to this material world. You donate, say, some money to somebody, or you donate some clothing to some anathalaya. Good work, good karma, pious karma. But you have to get reaction of that. And to get reaction, one has to come back in this material world. So both are binding. Then what do we do? If both are binding, then the third variety of karma, which we discuss, which is being taught in Bhagavad Gita. Okay. And we are being witnessed every moment. We cannot escape laws of nature. Like, you leave one, a calf in the midst of lakhs of cows. The calf will find his mother anywhere. Similarly, our karma will find us. We go anywhere. Will locate us anywhere we go. We cannot escape. From the state laws, we can escape. देखा नहीं, बच गया, उसने कत्ल कर दिया, किसने देखा नहीं, पकड़ा नहीं गया, लेकिन इधर नहीं है ऐसा, है ना? We are being witnessed for every act we perform, we think, we say. This voice is also a, karma indriya. Whatever you say out of this tongue, we invite reactions. Okay. So 3 types of karmas. One is called karma. Karma means doing some pious activity, as I mentioned, donating something, किसी को कपड़े दे दिए, किसी को खून blood donate कर दिया, वगैरह. So doing some activities, good activities according to scriptures. But it has a reaction, as I mentioned. It's also binding. And you'll be given some advantage, some benefit of your donation in the next life. For next life, you'll take birth again. Second is called vikarma. Vikarma means something which is against the laws. The result of vikarma is one goes to hellish conditions or goes to lower species of life, like human being becoming dog or any other animal or a hog or tree, plant. Okay. Now both are binding. Because of vikarma, one may get birth in a very poor family or an animal species. Because of good karma, one may get birth in the good family. But he cannot escape birth, death, old age, and disease. Both have to face. Then what is the solution? The solution is third type of karma, which is called akarma. A karma which is keeping God in the center. It makes karma into akarma. So while you do that activity, it does not invite any reaction. So godless society means karma or vikarma. God-centered society means only akarma. While everything is happening, one is going to run his business, one is going to his profession, is engineer, no problem. Carry on with activities, but bring Supreme Lord in the center of your all actions. If all actions dovetail with Supreme Lord, that the karma becomes akarma. सांप भी मर जाएगा और लाठी भी नहीं टूटेगी. That karma has no reaction. One simple example. This is given in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter. For example, we all eat food. One may say, I am Shakahari. ठीक है, बहुत अच्छा कि आप शाकाहारी खाना खाते हैं, है ना? But it is still not a karma. It has some reaction. Why? While cooking food, we knowingly or unknowingly kill many living entities. You know this? When we burn fire to cook food, we burn many living entities. When we wash vegetables, we kill many living entities. When we walk on the road to bring vegetable, to bring rice, to bring grain, we kill many living entities. So whatever food we have cooked has reactions of all those sinful actions. So we may be vegetarian, we may feel very nice, but it has those reactions to accompany in the next life. But if the same food is dovetailed, means first offered to the Lord, then what happens? Krishna takes away all the karmic reactions and makes it karma-free diet. He makes it karma-free diet. Prasadam jisko bolte hain na. This is our karma. So same cooking activity, when dovetailed with the Supreme Lord, becomes our karma. If not, it remains karma or vikarma. So Bhagavad Gita teaches how to make every action of our life our karma, so that we live our life, fulfill responsibility of material life, at the same time we don't invite any bondage in this material world. This is the real art of living. Okay, let me repeat. This is the real art of living. Doing all duties, but not getting bound. This is our karma. Okay. Very powerful. So if one does not know what a karma, then next body is guaranteed. No one can escape. Okay, so in summary, first we learn I am not this body, but an internal soul. Second, One gets different body based on one's desires and karma. Third, purpose of this universe is to rehabilitate souls who revolted against God's laws. Fourth, purpose of this body is to purify one's desires using akarma, working on behalf of Supreme Lord, not for oneself. And fifth, 5 subject matters of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So that is the end of today's session. And in the next session, we'll discuss if God is one, then why there are so many religions? Next question, no? So many religions if God is one. And then what is practical spirituality? So the next session is last session, which will conclude whatever we learned so far into some concrete practical actions. Okay. Thank you very much.